For many years, the idea that taking vitamins every morning was one of the smartest habits for staying healthy after 60 was widespread. A pill to strengthen bones, another to protect the heart, yet another to boost daily energy. It all seemed simple, almost automatic. But the lesser-known and often surprising truth is that some of the most popular vitamins, those millions of people confidently take every day, can actually become a silent problem. Instead of providing strength, they risk making the body more fragile, fatigued, and vulnerable. Clinical research has shown that certain supplements, marketed as essential, especially for the elderly, can accumulate in tissues, overloading the already underperforming liver and kidneys, stiffening the arteries, and even increasing the risk of stroke or nerve damage. And we're not talking about rare and exotic pills. These are very common vitamins, found in almost every household cupboard. Why does this happen? As we age, our bodies change. The liver can no longer filter toxins as quickly, the kidneys have a harder time eliminating excess fluids, and blood vessels and nerves become more delicate. Thus, what might have been a valuable aid at 40 can become a silent trap at 65. In this analysis, we'll discover which 4 vitamins are best avoided after age 60 and which ones are essential for protecting the brain, maintaining strong muscles, and even extending life. Before we get into the heart of the matter, pause for a moment. If you really want to take care of your health, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and activate the notification bell. And above all, write a short sentence in the comments as a personal commitment. From today, I will choose only what's good for my body. Vitamin A in the form of retinol, from friend to potential enemy. For decades, vitamin A has been considered an essential nutrient for the eyes, skin, and immune system. And indeed, it is, as long as it is consumed in the right form and in the right amount. The problem arises when, after age 60, people continue to ingest vitamin A in the form of retinol or retinyl palmitate, the synthetic version found in many multivitamins and some liver supplements. Vitamin A doesn't behave like vitamin C or B vitamins, which are water-soluble and easily excreted in urine. Vitamin A is fat-soluble. It accumulates in adipose tissue and the liver. As we age, however, the liver loses some of its ability to metabolize excess amounts while the distribution of fat in the body changes. This means that the vitamin ingested today isn't eliminated tomorrow, but remains stored, drop by drop, until it fills the glass and overflows as toxicity. The effects may seem like simple aging symptoms: dry skin, brittle hair, dizziness, blurred vision, joint pain, chronic fatigue. But beneath the surface, the risk is more serious. Recent studies have shown that excess vitamin A increases the risk of developing atrial fibrillation by about 25%, a dangerous arrhythmia that in turn increases the risk of stroke. So how much is too much? Already over 700 micrograms per day for women and 900 for men of retinol or retinyl palmitate enters a risk zone, and quite a few multivitamins for seniors exceed these values without the consumer realizing it. The solution isn't to eliminate vitamin A altogether, but to prefer its natural form, beta-carotene. Found in carrots, sweet potatoes, spinach, and eggs, beta-carotene is converted into vitamin A only if and when the body needs it, drastically reducing the risk of overdose. Iron, from energy ally to risk factor. For years, iron has been associated with vitality and endurance. It was recommended for fatigue, pale skin, and brittle nails. Many multivitamins still contain good amounts. However, after age 60, the situation changes radically. Iron isn't eliminated as easily as other substances. It accumulates primarily in the liver, pancreas, and heart. While young iron loss through menstruation or minor natural bleeding maintains a balance. But with menopause for women and age for men, this physiological drain disappears. The result? Every extra iron tablet taken just sits there like rust slowly settling on a pipe. Excess iron increases oxidative stress, the production of free radicals that damage cells and tissues, accelerating aging. Several studies have linked iron overload to a higher risk of neurodegenerative diseases, such as dementia, and to heart and liver damage. The problem is that the symptoms are vague: joint pain, persistent fatigue, difficulty concentrating, palpitations. Many attribute them to age, when in fact they are warning signs of iron overload. Most older adults don't need iron supplements at all, unless they've been medically diagnosed with anemia or blood loss. Unfortunately, many generic multivitamins still contain it, making the situation worse. So what should you do? Before taking iron, it's essential to have a simple blood test, fertilizer, and transferrin saturation. If you don't have an iron deficiency, it's best to avoid supplements. It's best to choose multivitamins specifically designed for seniors that don't contain iron, and stick to a balanced diet. Legumes, lean meat, and green leafy vegetables provide adequate amounts without overdoing it. Football, friend of the bones, silent enemy of the heart. Nearly every senior has heard at least once, "Take calcium to strengthen your bones." For decades, calcium has been the cornerstone of all osteoporosis prevention campaigns. But recent studies have revealed a hidden side. When taken in isolated pill form, calcium can deposit in the wrong places, increasing cardiovascular risk. At age 30, bones absorb calcium easily, guided by hormones and growth factors. But after 60, this ability declines. Calcium introduced through supplements, therefore, doesn't remain in the bones, but disperses into the arteries, joints, and soft tissues. The result? Stiffer blood vessels, painful joints, kidney stones, and even an increase in events like heart attacks and strokes. A large scientific review estimated that older adults who take calcium alone have a roughly 20% increased risk of cardiovascular disease. And the ironic thing is, despite the pills, bones don't necessarily get stronger. Why does this happen? Because calcium alone isn't enough. It needs other companions to function properly. Vitamin D3 to absorb it, vitamin K2 to direct it into the bones, preventing it from depositing in the arteries, and magnesium to balance its action. Without this teamwork, a calcium tablet risks becoming a danger. The smartest choice is to focus primarily on foods: yogurt, green leafy vegetables, almonds, chia seeds, and sardines with bones. These natural sources provide more bioavailable and less risky calcium. If supplementation is absolutely necessary, it should always be combined with D3, K2, and magnesium, and adjusted to your lifestyle and diet. Vitamin B6, energy that becomes nerve poison. Of all the B vitamins, B6 is often considered harmless, almost impossible to overdose on. It's water-soluble, supports metabolism, aids energy production, and contributes to proper nerve function. However, what few people know is that high and prolonged doses, especially after age 60, can become toxic to the nervous system. Normally, the body eliminates excess water-soluble vitamins through urine. But B6 behaves peculiarly. It tends to deposit in nerve tissue, and when it accumulates, it can damage nerve fibers instead of protecting them. Furthermore, with age, the liver eliminates them more slowly, and nerves are already more vulnerable. The result is that excessive vitamin B6 supplementation risks producing symptoms that many mistake for simple aging: tingling in the hands and feet, burning sensations, loss of balance, frequent falls, muscle weakness, and difficulty concentrating. The theoretically safe upper limit is 100 milligrams per day, but several studies have shown that even doses of 40-50 milligrams taken over a long period can cause harm in elderly individuals, and it's not difficult to exceed this threshold. Many nerve or energy supplements contain very high amounts, in addition to those found in multivitamins and fortified foods. The problem is that nerve damage takes months or years to manifest, and once it does, it's not always reversible. That's why the safest approach is to limit yourself to natural food sources: legumes like chickpeas, fish like tuna, white meat, bananas, and whole grains. For older adults, about 1.5 milligrams per day for women and 1.7 milligrams for men is sufficient, a modest requirement that can be easily met without risk of toxicity. The conclusion is clear: vitamin B6 is essential, but it should be taken in small amounts. Megadoses and enhanced formulations are not beneficial. In fact, they can compromise mobility and independence. After age 60, more doesn't mean better, it means greater risk. From vitamins to avoid to those to take every day. We've seen the 4 vitamins that, if taken uncontrolled after age 60, can become a silent danger. Vitamin A in the form of retinol, iron, isolated calcium, and high-dose B6. Now, however, it's time to look at the other side of the coin: the substances that really make a difference in old age. Because eliminating risks is only half the battle. The real secret to staying strong and vital is providing your body with the nutrients it truly needs. Not random supplements, but targeted choices that help protect your heart, brain, bones, and muscles. 4 substances in particular are considered by doctors to be the cornerstones of health over 60: magnesium, vitamin D3, vitamin B12, and omega-3 fatty acids. Magnesium, the forgotten mineral that supports over 300 vital functions. Magnesium is involved in over 300 biochemical reactions. It regulates heart rate, allows muscle contraction and relaxation, promotes nerve transmission, contributes to bone health, and stabilizes blood sugar levels. Despite its importance, it is one of the minerals most deficient in the elderly. Why? On the one hand, intestinal absorption becomes less efficient with age. On the other, many medications commonly prescribed for those over 60, diuretics, antacids, and blood pressure medications, increase magnesium excretion. Even those with a balanced diet are at risk of having levels that are too low. Signs of deficiency aren't always obvious, but they often include night cramps, muscle spasms, fatigue, insomnia, arrhythmias, and even memory lapses. Many interpret these as inevitable symptoms of aging, when in reality they're a correctable deficiency. Supplementing with magnesium, in the right forms, can improve sleep, reduce fatigue, improve mental clarity, stabilize mood, and protect the heart and bones. But not all supplements are created equal. Magnesium oxide, for example, is poorly absorbed and can cause intestinal discomfort, while the most suitable forms for the elderly are magnesium citrate, glycinate, or malate, which are much more bioavailable and well-tolerated. The ideal dosage ranges from 250 to 400 milliliters per day, depending on your diet and medical conditions. In addition to supplements, it's a good idea to include magnesium-rich foods: spinach, pumpkin seeds, almonds, avocado, legumes, and even a small portion of good-quality dark chocolate. Vitamin D3, the sunlight that fades with age. If magnesium is the silent engine, vitamin D3 is the master switch. This substance acts almost like a hormone, influencing bones, muscles, the immune system, and the brain. Unfortunately, with age, the skin loses the ability to produce it from sunlight. After age 65, natural production drops by more than 50%. Added to this is a more sedentary lifestyle, which leads to spending many hours at home, and the constant use of sunscreens which, while protecting the skin, block the synthesis of vitamin D. The result is that most older adults have insufficient levels, even when exposed to the sun. Vitamin D3 helps the body absorb calcium into the bones, preventing fractures and osteoporosis. But its effects go much further. It strengthens the immune system, reduces the risk of infections, contributes to mood, and keeps the mind sharp. Low D3 levels have been linked to a higher incidence of depression, cognitive decline, and overall mortality. Deficiency symptoms are often vague. Persistent fatigue, muscle pain, mood swings, and balance difficulties. These are all signs that many attribute to age, but which can significantly improve with proper supplementation. Most multivitamins contain only 400 to 800 IU of vitamin D3, an amount insufficient for an elderly person. Experts recommend daily doses of 1,000 to 2,000 IU, sometimes even more if a severe deficiency is confirmed by blood tests. It's important to take it with a meal containing healthy fats because it's fat-soluble and therefore much better absorbed. In addition to supplements, certain foods can also contribute: fatty fish like salmon and mackerel, egg yolks, and fortified dairy products. However, these alone are unlikely to be enough to meet your needs after age 60. From deficiency prevention to long-term protection. At this point, we already have two pillars: magnesium, which supports hundreds of vital functions, and vitamin D3, which maintains bones, muscles, and the immune system. But the journey doesn't end there. There are two other nutrients without which aging risks becoming more rapid and complicated: vitamin B12 and omega-3 fatty acids. Before addressing them in detail, it's worth emphasizing a key concept. After 60, the goal isn't to randomly accumulate pills, but to choose wisely. Some vitamins, as we've seen in excess, can actually accelerate aging. Others, however, if taken regularly and correctly, can drastically reduce the risk of disease, keep the mind sharper, and the body more resilient. Vitamin B12, the spark that keeps nerves and memory alive. If vitamin D3 is the shield that protects bones and the immune system, vitamin B12 is the spark that keeps the brain and nervous system alight. It is essential for the formation of red blood cells, proper nerve function, and cellular metabolism. The problem is that after age 60, approximately 1 in 4 seniors develops a deficiency, often without realizing it. Why? With age, the stomach produces less hydrochloric acid, which is needed to release the B12 contained in foods and make it absorbable. Added to this are medications commonly used in old age: antacids, gastric protectors, and metformin for diabetes. All interfere with vitamin absorption. The result is that even those who eat a diet rich in foods containing B12, meat, fish, eggs, dairy products, can still experience a deficiency. Symptoms aren't always clear and are often attributed to normal old age: chronic fatigue, paleness, memory problems, confusion, depression, tingling in the hands and feet, and loss of balance. In more severe cases, B12 deficiency can mimic dementia or peripheral neuropathy, misleading even doctors. The needs of an elderly person are not the same as those of a young person. Much higher doses are often needed, even 500 to 1,000 micrograms per day, because absorption is reduced. The best forms are methylcobalamin and cyanocobalamin, available in sublingual tablets that dissolve under the tongue and bypass the stomach, or in injections prescribed by a doctor in more severe cases. An important advantage is that B12 is water-soluble. Excess amounts are eliminated in the urine, so the risk of toxicity is virtually zero. This makes daily supplementation safe, especially if supervised. For those with good digestion, food remains a useful source: oily fish like sardines and mackerel, quality beef, eggs, milk, and yogurt. But for most people over 60, diet alone is no longer enough. Vitamin B12 is the difference between a slowly fading mind and one that remains sharp and active. It protects nerves, supports memory, keeps legs strong and movements stable. For this reason, it is considered a life-saving nutrient for seniors. Omega-3s, the fuel of longevity. If we had to choose just one health supplement for those over 60, many experts would unhesitatingly point to omega-3 fatty acids. These aren't just simple fats, but essential components of cell membranes, particularly in the brain, heart, and joints. There are two main omega-3s, EPA and DHA. Both have anti-inflammatory and protective properties. As we age, chronic inflammation becomes the silent enemy that accelerates arthritis, cardiovascular problems, cognitive decline, and muscle fragility. Omega-3s act as a natural brake on this process. The beneficial effects have been demonstrated in numerous studies. On the heart, they reduce triglycerides, stabilize the heart rhythm, make blood vessels more elastic. On the brain, DHA is a fundamental building block of gray matter, helps maintain memory and concentration, reduces the risk of depression. On the joints, they limit pain and stiffness, improving daily mobility. On longevity, those with high levels of omega-3 in their blood have up to a 36% lower risk of death from all causes. Despite this, over 60% of adults over 60 are deficient in omega-3s. The reason is simple. The modern diet is unbalanced. We consume too little fatty fish and too many vegetable oils rich in omega-6s, which fuel inflammation. How to fill the gap? 1 oily fish, 2 to 3 servings per week of salmon, mackerel, sardines, or anchovies. 2. Quality supplements, fish oil or, for those following a plant-based diet, algal oil, which provides DHA directly. It's important that they are purified from heavy metals and contaminants, and that they provide at least 1,000 mg of EPA per day. 3. Seeds and nuts, flaxseed, chia, walnuts, and fortified eggs. They provide ALA, a useful but less potent precursor to omega-3s. Take it with a meal containing healthy fats, such as extra virgin olive oil or avocado, to improve absorption. Omega-3s are more than just a supplement. They're a true biological insurance policy. They protect the heart, brain, and joints, keeping you active and independent for as long as possible. A new approach to health after 60. At this point, the picture is clear. Not all vitamins are created equal, and not all strategies that worked in your 40s are still valid after 60. Some substances considered beneficial can prove harmful with age, while others become indispensable. On the one hand, it is necessary to limit or eliminate risky vitamins. Vitamin A in the form of retinol, risks of liver toxicity and arrhythmias. Excess iron, toxic accumulation in the heart and brain. Isolated calcium, arterial calcifications, and increased cardiovascular events. High doses of vitamin B6, nerve damage, and loss of balance. On the other hand, it is better to focus on those that truly improve the quality of life. Magnesium regulates over 300 vital functions and reduces cramps, insomnia, and arrhythmias. Vitamin D3 protects bones, muscles, immune defenses, and mood. Vitamin B12 keeps the mind clear, the nerves strong, and the blood active. Omega-3, EPA, and DHA slow inflammation and extend life. The secret isn't more pills, but the right pills. It's reading labels, evaluating dosages, choosing natural foods when possible, and supplementing only with what's truly necessary. The daily choice that writes the future. Every day, with the small gestures we make, we shape the future of our health. Opening a bottle and swallowing a pill is not a neutral act. It can be a step toward vitality or a step toward fragility. After age 60, the body doesn't need to randomly accumulate supplements. It needs balance, protection, and targeted support. It needs nutrients that don't overload the liver and kidneys, but that strengthen the heart, bones, and brain. The good news is that it's never too late to make a change. Even those who have been taking unsuitable vitamins for years can make new choices starting today. Check the labels on your supplements, talk to your doctor, and replace what might cause harm with what actually strengthens and protects. At 65, 70, or 80, your health isn't written once and for all. It's built day by day, and every small decision contributes to the overall design of your life. If you found this content helpful, please like, subscribe, and activate the bell icon so you don't miss future insights. And if you'd like to support the channel, you can do so with a super thank you below the video, a gesture that helps us continue to offer you helpful tips for living longer and healthier.